What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 1 of the Dinner Tunes podcast where we talk all things music, positive vibes only. Episode 1, we get to talk to my great mate Sean Daly, who plays in Melbourne rock god trio Antiskeptic. We talk all things Antiskeptic, music, we talk our favourite records of 2021, and a whole bunch of stuff. So sit back, relax, enjoy the conversation. You can hit us up on TikTok, Dinner Tunes Pod, and then you can find me on Instagram at the NATO Summit. So yeah, find us there, say hi, have a listen, tell your friends, and enjoy episode 1 with Sean Daly. Peace. All right, Mr. Daly, how are you, sir?
I'm great, Macca. I'm great.
Okay,
living the dream.
Yeah, I reckon. So about 12 months ago, you and I were talking over the interwebs as we do.
Yes, we do.
And we were talking about our favorite records of 2020.
Yeah.
And we were listing them, and we were going back and forth and just gassing on all the great records that came out that year. And we said
we should great records.
Dude, magic that year.
Yeah.
Even 2021 I think was actually stronger. But yeah, there was some incredible records that year, and we said we should do a podcast. And for 12 months we threw ideas back and forth, and we said, all right, let's try this date. And of course, both being married, both having young families, both being in bands, both being, full-time employed, both all that kind of stuff. It just
all those things.
Time is just not our friend.
No, that's right.
We did it.
We've done it. We're here. Finally going to talk about records.
We did try last night. And how is your little one, by the way? She
my little
bit
one. Better? She's a little bit better. She's on antibiotics and making small incremental improvements each day. But COVID's a hell of a time, and
it's wild, isn't it?
You get over the first sort of spell of it, and then there's all these secondary complications that come, and you go, oh, I don't get much of this in the press. So it was a bit of a surprise. We're all getting over it slowly. So we're better now.
We found like the initial sickness only lasted like 3 or 4 days, but it's been this, like you were saying, that extra stuff that's just kicking our ass, man. Like, just like my wife and I are doing renos in our house, and we're trying to put together wardrobes, and we literally put one wardrobe together today, and we were both just like, no, F this mess. Like,
you're spent. Spent.
Done. And I needed to sleep
like
for about 3 hours. It's
like you have to do a whole tank's worth of fuel work with half a tank of gas.
Yeah. Exactly right. So, oh man, it's gnarly as hell, man. And I think, like we were saying before we started recording, I think I've done a couple episodes so far, and I mean, this will be number 1 going out, but I've sort of pre-done and actually talking to other humans from other places has been quite, I don't know. I didn't think it would be so uplifting and sort of help the mental health so much, but it really has, man. Like, we had some people drop some stuff around, and just seeing other faces for 5 minutes man, it's crazy what that does.
I didn't realize how isolated I'd sort of become, and how like used to it I've become as well. That at one point, in the beginning, after wind back the clock to March 2020, we just done a bunch of shows. Was when I last saw you, and we've done our run of shows. And
that was at the Triffid, wasn't it?
The Triffid or the Tivoli or one of those places. Yeah. So we finish these shows, we get back home, and it's after having such an immensely social time of being out and around loads of people. And then suddenly, the world just became these 4 walls. And I struggled with that immensely, like so many others did. And over the last 2 years, I've actually come to just appreciate that these are my four walls. And in this space, I can be okay and I'm safe here. I've got control, creative control. But it's really a very small audience that I'm working with. It's my kids and my partner, Anna, and the handful of people I engage with through work. And that's it. I've gotten kind of numb to this, social isolation that we've got now.
Yeah.
So this is cool because I wish I was there, but this will do.
Dude, and like up here in Brizzy, like we haven't had it anywhere near as tough as you guys did down in Vic. Like you guys copped it hard. And we had a couple of lockdowns that lasted, 2 weeks here and there and things like that. But you guys were in lockdown for 6-7 months, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a long time. And that just kind of became easier to manage the longer it went, because you eventually let go of things you were, grieving and wanting to get back to, and just adjusted and kind of became a bit of a happily ambivalent or, passive and complacent, but you just got along and did what you had to do. I don't think I've switched out of that mode yet.
Was there ever a moment though where the creative side of you like got really, I guess, anxious and really like, I've got to get something out. I have to, to expel some kind of thing.
I have to guess that you might know what my answer to this. Absolutely. It was, it's the genesis of Dark Antiskeptic was entirely that, man. Because we, so for those listening or watching or whatever, right, Antiskeptic is like this old school punk rock band we've been around a long time, and we were coming back on scene after a long breakaway, and it was all systems go. It was so exciting to be back into the fold, and something we never thought we'd do again was suddenly in front of us, and we'd been running with it for a year. So 1 year back on the road doing things, and we've written an album, and we've got plans to re-release old stuff and remaster it and release it on the internet. And we had some great shows lined up, and then bam, it's all on the hiatus, all tentative, all postponed, cancelled, or wait and watch. And that it was probably just the sudden rush of we're going from up here, really high energy, excited, to completely down and tentative and uncertain. So I was angry. I was angry at no one in particular, just about it. And the thing that I was really looking forward to is we were going to re-release our debut EP, which is just these 4 songs, which for us was the start of a great 20-year-old journey.
By the way, sorry, as much as I know, maybe you don't, but I know Andrew and maybe Nick don't enjoy the songs on that EP. I still listen to it and love. I see, I hear Jimmy and I go, I can tell why you go from Jimmy and that to what happened on Memoirs. I mean, it's a huge artistic step. Yeah.
There was the songs on the original EPs, they're all a lot more energetic and fast-paced and very much harboring a deep affection for MXPX and Blink-182 and touches of Foo Fighters and stuff. So that was where we were at. We were going to re-release it as a little 7-inch, right? And I was really excited about it, and we'd spoken about remastering it and putting it up on streaming sites and doing maybe a run of shows just to say, hey, it's been 20 years since this started. And I thought, this is going to be rad. We're going to put out a little record. It'll be sick. Old stuff coming back. Yeah. And that plan had to get hacked. That's the end of that. So I was pissed. It's this just feeling ripped off. So I'm just going to do this myself. and make like the most pissed off, furious, angry, dark, awful versions of those songs in my garage, and I'm just going to scream it all, and I'm not going to sing, and I'm just going to make it all bad, really, really bad, and put it out there just as like this act of catharsis. Everyone on the internet thought this was fucking hilarious. Sorry, they just thought, yeah, this is a stupid idea. You should totally do it.
Yeah.
And so they egged me on. And that's what good mates do. They say, that's a dumb idea. You should totally do it. It'll be hilarious. Yeah. And it's like a joke that built momentum. And I suddenly found other friends who also, like me, had no creative outlets and was suddenly stuck waiting. And I was like, hey, man, do you want to like sing a verse here or do some guitar on this or something to do? And through that, I ended up networking with a whole host of musicians and mates and people and peers who I haven't seen in a while, all looking for something to do and happy to tip their hand at it. And it's turned out to be a fantastic 2-year running joke. I'm still doing it.
It's amazing. It sounds exactly how it should. Like you can't. Like I'm, you know,
if you like grindcore.
I was about to say it sounds amazing, but it doesn't. But that's the point: is that it's supposed to sound, it's supposed to sound rough and raw, and you know, like really dirty, and it's it sounds great, man. It's
supposed to be like filthy and not nice.
Yeah, well, you called it. I remember when you were talking to me about it before you started recording. You said that you wanted to make it was like a crust punk version of the Antiskeptic stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, this could be wild. This could get real wild.
I couldn't maintain that for very long. I did give it a good bash. I eventually ended up sort of softening out and going, maybe I'll make it more metalcore now. And then I just ended up forgetting about intentions and going, I'm just going to have fun now.
Yeah.
I've got a bunch of people following this stupid project, and Andrew and Nick in the band, they're finally entertained by it, if not a bit puzzled at the start. They were like, oh, okay, Shawnee, that's cool, I guess. You can do that. That's okay. And as the songs got more creative and more irreverent to the source material, they found it funnier. And yeah, it's gone on to be something that I've kept as a project that I could keep coming back to without needing to book flights, you know, or worry about a timeline or an agenda. And my collaborator.
Isn't that the beauty of technology, though, that you can now make a project and, you know, like, so my band, the Black Catapult, we've been working on something new for this year. And it's turned out that it's going to be an EP and then possibly something later in the year. But you know, the ability for me to just sit at home and record music demos, and just send them to our vocalists and go, what, you know, write something to it, see what you got, you know?
Yeah.
We get into a jam space and everyone's had the songs for 2-3 months. So they've kind of got an idea of how it rolls. And it's the same, you know, like you get to create, you know, without having to leave your house. It's, you know, I mean, it's kind of revolutionized the music industry, hasn't it? Like you know, people don't have to make records.
It was a dream to be able, like, starting out in music when I was younger. Everything was locked behind a paywall of a studio. You know, you had to pay. Everything was costly. The technicians and the producers and the engineers, all very talented, so it's worth it. But you know, that was all locked behind barriers, you know, gatekeepers, and now we have it in our pocket. You just have to have the time and to know how to milk it and get what you need out of it. I love that.
It's beautiful, actually. It's great, and especially for, you know, creative people in the situation that we've been in for the last 2 years. I mean, at least it's given us some kind of outlet to get, you know, as back where we started. You know, it's given us a place to be able to put stuff out, and you've got so many options. You know, like SoundCloud's free, and you can upload anything to YouTube, and you can, you know, like
Bandcamp. You know,
Bandcamp, exactly.
Bandcamp. I love Bandcamp.
I got to get more on board with Bandcamp. I'm
Yeah.
either a vinyl guy or I just stream it on Apple Music. If Bandcamp had a streamer where I could download an app and stream the
They do
bands on
have
Bandcamp.
they do have an app, but it's a little bit more. It's less like your everything stream it kind of app. It's more of a here's all the stuff that you bought and you can stream it, and limited amounts of streams of everything else. It's got a ways to go, but it's more of a platform for selling. It's more of an interface than it is a streaming app thing.
Yeah, I can actually 100% appreciate. I do need to get into Bandcamp more and support more bands, and it's probably
great because the revenue, is gosh, I'm trying to think of the percentage, and I'll say 1% and it'll be wrong, but it's upwards of 80% of that goes to the artist. So when you're buying your vinyl, right, which is pretty much one of the biggest things they sell on it, if it's $40, then the band's getting a pretty decent chunk of that money.
Cut. Yeah,
really good cut.
Oh, if any of my like, I mean, I know Memoirs is coming out on vinyl in the next couple of months, which I'm super pumped about.
And it's funny because we're the only two people who have a copy of it.
I know, right? Dude, when Nick, the drummer for Antiskeptic, messaged me and said, "Hey man, Sean's having some issues with the test press. I don't have a turntable. Can I send it to you?" And I was like, "Yes, yes, send it to me."
Yeah, and he was the guru of vinyl. Like, he was the one who had a good collection and was really into it, driving the idea. I was pretty surprised he didn't have one to test it himself. I was like, "What, man? You don't have it?" Oh.
And then I said to him later on, I was like, "Dude, do you want me to just send it back?" And he was like, "No, man, you." And I was like, "Dude, I can't keep this. Like, that's a."
Yeah, sure you can.
But it's kind of like, I don't know, man. It's kind of feels like it's a relic that you guys should keep in the time capsule.
Yeah, man. This whole thing is just a facade. It's me wanting to have a copy of my own band's album on vinyl, and I had to find a way to justify all the costs. And I decided, you know what? It's too much money for me to do myself. I'll make the fans pay for it. And, bam, I've got my vinyl. I'm happy.
Yeah, man. Do you think, and I know it's an album that you probably weren't super involved with the recording process, but do you think that you guys will do Aurora next? Like, do you think that there's a plan to get Aurora on wax, or?
Yeah, there's a plan. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have plans. They rarely come to fruition, but we have plans. Yeah. Dave Carr, the producer and our very long time friend, he and I had this chuckle where, because I wasn't super involved in that record, he's like, "You know what, man? And one thing that's really bugged me about it all these years is, I wish you were on it." He had to rush a lot of the bass playing that he did on it because the previous bass player, Shane O'Keefe, he was only around to record one song, Nothing to Say. So the band was just Andrew and Nick for a majority of that time. So Dave Carr rushed through and did his best. And when he got stuck, he called me. Didn't tell the other guys. He's like, "Sean, would you pop over and bust out a few of these tracks?" I was like, "Yeah, I'd love to. It's awesome." And so I did. But again, we rushed it. And time constraints and pressure meant that the end result that everyone else has heard, they accept it as this is what it sounds like. But the intention was that it would be a somewhat different end result.
Yeah.
So knowing that and having the fun of remaking Memoirs, Dave Carr was like, "Mate, when we're done with this and you want to work on Aurora, get the files, get the track, get the multi-track, and we'll re-record all the bass." I was just like, bing, I'm in. So
can I make one other thing that you have to re-record? Is the screams in More Than Kind.
Oh, that's already been done. when I rejoined the band, we re-recorded some bits.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. This is convenient. Have you seen this?
No.
Yeah. This was our first vinyl. It's also, up until you and I, the only one we ever made. This is More Than Kind, and it has a B-side of one of my favorite songs called First Time Out.
Right.
First Time Out should have been on the album, but it didn't because of time. And it's a banger of a song. We only made 500 of these. And it's funny because at the time we couldn't get rid of them, you know. No one wanted them, but we were excited about it. And so it was kind of fun. When I came back to the band, that was one of the first things we did was we went back in and they were like, Shawnee, you gotta put the screams on. They won't. Yeah. No one will let it go. Everyone tells me, oh, it would have been so much better if you had Sean on it. That would have sucked a bit, you know, for those guys that they're moving forward and people keep saying, oh, if only he was still here doing it. But still, you know.
It happened. I mean, it's so. I mean, to be like 100% honest, Aurora is just an insanely good record. Like, if I really feel like, and again, it's the same artistic jump from EP to Memoirs, and then Memoirs to Aurora. You went from being a punk influenced rock band to like a fully fledged, like we're a band that writes insanely good songs, like. You know, and I do feel for the guys because that would have been so hard to hear. Oh, you know, it would have been better if, you know, the other guy was on it. And it's like,
exactly. No one hear
that. So, I mean, I'm glad you came back, man.
Wanted that.
Oh, dude. Do you still have any left?
Yeah, I do. I've got others here if you want.
Dude, I would kill for one. So, give me an idea, man. Because I mean, you guys are currently writing a new record at the moment, which I don't know if that's.
We wrote it, man. We wrote it. It's done.
It's done. Okay, cool.
Yeah, we just need to record the damn thing.
So, I know that the writing process for this record has been a little bit maybe different to previous, only because I've had a very, very small hand in.
Hey, you have.
Which I can't tell you can't understand how like amazing that is for someone like me. So I'm very
dude, it's my favorite song. Seriously. You know, when we talk about, you know, we're going to talk about our favorite records of the year.
Yeah.
My own band's record is one of them, easily.
Wow.
I think I've listened to it more than any other record all year. Awesome. Just because we took so long to come up with the 10 songs.
Yeah.
Now it was 30 something songs. We whittled it down to 10.
Well, I know Andrew's been sending me demos for nearly 2 years, just going, I mean, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? And
that guy just seriously farts demos.
Dude, it's crazy. Yeah. Yeah, he's so prolific, man, and he's so good though. Like, you know, not every demo's the best, but you can hear, you go, there's every demo, there's something in it that if you dig deep enough, you're going to hit the gold, you know.
And that's good. The thing that it's really hard is not so much to come up with material, but to curb the enthusiasm that once you come up with so much, you're like, whoa, we've got to refine these, you know, these 20 ideas. Don't even talk to us about another 20.
See, I have that issue is we have a Dropbox for Black Catapult, and I just throw ideas. Like for this, we got 5 songs on this next EP we're putting out. I wrote probably 30 odd demos for it. Yeah, and we just kind of whittled it down and went, let's just do that. And yeah, it's nuts. So
That's awesome.
tell me though, you come out of the EP, which is MXPX and all that kind of stuff. And like I said before, the artistic jump to Memoirs is almost exponential. Like it's huge. Like there is punk elements, but the songs are so much better structured, and even from the drop, like you can tell from when As Yet Untitled starts, you're like, oh, this is not.
This isn't pop punk, yeah.
These guys are going for the the win here. So what was the writing process like for Memoirs? How did you guys put that album together?
Okay. The album originally, I think we had about 16 songs that we were like, we're putting this as the potential material for a record. And we did a pre-production day with our record label, the guys in Brisbane. So we flew up, did a couple of shows, had a session and recorded just like really rough scratch tracks of all these songs. And so we immediately could tell that there was a big difference, that there was about 5 or 6 which were just straight up pop punk. And then there was this other 10 which were more nuanced, slower, more dynamic, and had more range. And the label was really clear with us. And they said, this batch, bye, get rid of that. And we were like, what? But we really like these songs. And they said, look, yeah, cool, you can work with them. Maybe B-sides, maybe compilations, and use them. But we're going to invest in this selection here. So it was somebody else looking in and telling us, helping us to see something we hadn't quite realized, just that well, actually, you know what? Nick probably had more insight into this. He saw the longevity of songs that were less genre tagged and more just good songs that would stand up, when the cool pop punk phase sort of leaned over and we moved on to emo and hardcore and stuff becoming more prevalent. He could see that, and so did the label, that these songs have like hooks, poppy hooks. And they were the ones that they said, look, we really reckon you should focus on these songs. And we were reluctant at first, but could see we could see that these guys have more experience than us. So we'll take their leadership here and follow it because we trust them. And lucky we did.
Yeah.
The other thing was that Dave Carr, when we started working with Dave Carr, he was involved in the songwriting or song production process. So he'd say, listen to a riff or a song and say, this is good song, but you need to cut 4 bars here. You need to cut that bit, half this chorus, shorten that verse, bring it back to the chorus, lose that outro. And we'd be like, you what? They're the best parts. And he's like, no, they're not. They're not. You need to refine this idea. You've got about 3 songs in this one track. You need to make it one. And so it was really, really hard learning, but we were open to it. So I think the one thing we have to be grateful for and respect is some of what makes that record good is we really allowed others who knew more to steer us, and that we can't take full credit.
Yeah. Was it written in a jam room? Like, did you guys just get together and go, let's just see what comes out? Or did Andrew come with ideas, or did you come with ideas, or Nick?
90% of the time, Andrew wrote, the bones and a lot of the songs. Well, he wrote all of the songs. That is 100% him. They're all his lyrics. But what he would do is come to us with skeletons of a song. He'd track it on his 4-track, or he'd make us sit there and play it with him or listen to him and then run through. We used to use cassettes back then. We'd track it on a cassette and send it to each other. We'd get together in in a rehearsal space, and I would have learnt the song, and Nick would have been learning the song. Andrew's obviously written it, so we all know. So because we'd done that, like, oh, I think it froze. Because we'd done that pre-learning of the song, we could get back to get in a room and just be like, let's give it a go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ba-na, 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 and we could play him.
Yeah.
And that's the process. It was Andrew has the idea, he brings it to Nick and Sean, and we crunch together. And then Dave Carr would come in on top and spoil all of our fun.
Not everyone can be Tool, man. That's not everyone can be Tool.
No, that's right.
Only Tool can be Tool. And,
most of the songs that are on Memoirs would have at least been 4 minutes, maybe some were 5.
Yeah.
Just, repeating things that didn't need to be repeated, or having intros and outros and second and third choruses. You're like, nah, man, don't need that. Cut it out.
Cut the fat, man. It's the hardest part. It's the hardest learning curve as a songwriter, is learning how to self-edit and go, I don't need, as cool as that riff is, I don't need it. And it's so hard to learn. But
and I listen to music when I review it and stuff, and I can tell, when a band has that smarts about them, when they've got that experience, because I've gone through it. And I know when I'm listening to an album, I go, oh, this is a young band because they're playing that riff again. Or because this is like, looking at the time, 4 minutes, get bored. Someone wasn't in the room going, guys, does it need to be shortened? Can we get to the point quicker?
Yeah. This song's been running for 2 minutes and we haven't hit the main hook yet. Can we get to
exactly. You can get to the chorus in the first minute, and then something's wrong.
Absolutely. So
unless you sing.
Unless you're Tool, and then you can do whatever you like.
Yeah,
play what you want.
Yeah.
So I've got these Bluetooth earphones in, and if I adjust them, if I adjust them and touch the wrong part, it kicks up my iTunes. So just then, as we were talking, Eskimo Joe's sweater came on at full fucking volume. Just about took my head off. So I've been going back to the Joe. There's something about the Joe. Early Joe though. I mean, I like most Joe, but the early Joe stuff is but there you go. So sorry, I'm full of questions, man, because that's what I do.
That's okay.
Let's talk about just real quick, and this is where I want to talk about music and listening. So obviously Andrew has what he listens to, which is, I mean, I've seen what he listens to, and it's a lot. He listens to a lot of music, and he's able to draw from all of it to sort of make the beauty that is Antiskeptic. But what was it for you personally that you were listening to at that time that sort of influenced the way you played and the way you interacted with the songs? Because I think it's really you laugh, and I can imagine.
I do, because I know what I listen to. Yeah. All right. Meshuggah, straight up. I am a lifelong Meshuggah fan, and Tool, because it goes with that saying. Strapping young lad, soil work.
City was such a great album. Yeah, right.
And Deftones is again lifelong fan of that.
Yep.
That's what I love to listen to. Like if I'm gonna Desert Island Records, it'll be one of each of those. Yeah. I really, So I'm a metalhead from a long time ago. The Haunted, that's another one. I love The Haunted.
Are they Swedish?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've come from that kind of background. So if you apply, like say 30% Sean with all of his metal, angry, fast stuff, and Andrew's broad, vast, eclectic styles, and probably more 80s in that, 80s pop sensibility. and
Yeah.
guitar tones that he goes for. And then you have Nick, who is a rock monster, just a straight
An
up a
animal.
rock dog, an
Yeah.
animal. You get this blend, you know, it's like three guys who aren't really punk, pop, rock focused guys come together to try and write that kind of music and failing and coming up with what Antiskeptic is.
Dude, I was talking to Carl in an episode that's coming up that I'll put out later. Carl plays in Wishful Thinking, who you guys toured with a bunch, and my old band played with a bunch. And, yeah. And
they're
we
like
were
our
actually
brothers, man.
Yeah.
Like
and
brother band.
one of the questions I asked him was, you know, like we talked about like local bands that just blew our minds, and we were just gassing on you guys and your ability to be three dudes and still be the loudest band on any bill is just like, you know, it's like bands with two or three guitarists, and it's like, and then here comes Antiskeptic just to make you all sound like pussies. And it was dude, we were just gassing on the fact that, and I think, like you said, man, I think it's all that beautiful melding pot is just, you know, like Nick hitting every hit from up here, and
that brother is all about volume, man.
Dude, yeah, he's I've never seen a dude. I've seen probably one or two other drummers that match his intensity, but not a lot, man. Like he really hits those drums, man. Like,
I think bad people come back as Nick's drums.
I tend to agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. But yeah, no. So we were gassing on that, and then we were gassing on some of the other bands that we'd seen, and it actually reminded me of, I think, the first time I actually met you. So my old band, which was affiliated, we played in some of the same Christian rock circles. But the first time we played with Antiskeptic, Corey was playing bass for them. So it was during Aurora. So you had moved on, and so that was the first time that I met Andrew and Nick, and we hung out, blah, 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 blah. First time I actually met you, though, was we had come down to Adelaide, and my good pal Jeremy Wright from Think Tank picked me up, and we went to the Enigma Bar to watch Edison Music's last show ever. And it was you, me. Was Anna there? Yeah, Anna was there.
Kev was there.
Kev, was
Kev
Shane there? I can't remember if Shane.
Yes. Yeah, no, he was
there. Yeah. And I just remember, I remember watching two or three bands before Edison, and there was one hardcore band that you and I really gassed on. Away from now, thank you. And then Mere Theory played, and I think all of us were just jaws to the floor watching that band going, how does that Nigel on the guitar, like, how does he do that stuff? He's just, he's out of control.
Everyone in that band was just at like peak flex, you know, just so good.
I feel like, I didn't love the record that came out after the EP. What was the EP? I can't remember, but they had it.
Escape me now.
They had an EP that came out, and it was perfect. All four songs were perfect. And then they lost that singer, and then they released an album with their new singer, and it was good, but it just didn't hit it quite as well as that EP did. But I feel like they were like one of the lost treasures of Australian music. Like, they should have been so much more popular than they were. But then Edison Music came on, and we all cried and hugged each other, and
that's it. I remember just being really aware and grounded and thinking, take this in. like really intentionally absorbing it, looking around and taking snapshots in my head. So sometimes stepping out of the participant, enjoying the show, jumping up and down and going, wait a minute. Let me just look around and take this in because this will never happen again.
Yeah. It was
special.
pretty it was a really special night, man. And I kind of feel bonded to the group that was there. And even though like I probably haven't spoken to Jeremy in years, man, it's just one of those things where people just, you just
we all live so far away from each other now.
Yeah. And I was really hoping that the think tank thing would happen. And rumors
we're all sad that that couldn't.
There was we were talking to the guy putting it on, and there was rumors that we might have been able to get down and play one of the shows, and it all nearly happened, and then
I know
it all fell apart. So
that was one of those crushing defeats that Corona can take from us. But the good thing is that at some point in the future, we know that everyone wants to see at least that kind of lineup again. So that old dogs like us will have our moment in the sun again.
Day. Absolutely.
It'll be a good day. That's right.
Dude, I'm hoping that borders open, and if it all happens again, I can come down and
Look, we were all about if we can get Darren over from, where is he, Switzerland or wherever, or Sweden, I don't know where I forget. But he's over there in Scandinavia somewhere, right? So he can't come to Australia, and therefore the whole thing is basically contingent on that.
Yeah.
Never mind state border closures. They could still run that gig with all Adelaide bands, and it'd still be the best thing out. Yeah. We know that at some point they were up to it. We were all up for it. So when the time is right, we'll be able to do it.
Oh, it'll be a magic show, man. It'll be an absolute magic show.
One thing maybe in the last week or so, that When We Were Young lineup, the big thing in Las Vegas with 60 billion bands on one day with 3 stages. I've run events as a job for years. I would not want to work on that.
No,
but I just seen how many people sprung to life and said, wow, we need one of these in Australia. We need an Aussie one of these. And naturally, a whole bunch of us have all been tagging each other and posting and going, yep, we need to have this band and this band and this band and this band. And then somebody else will come up with, oh, don't forget this band and this band and this band and this band.
Yeah.
And I think when we can do it, we have to.
Well, it's just got to be a less, just not as reliant on Triple J version of Homebake is what it's got to be.
Yeah.
It's just got to be all those great, bands from the 90s and the early 2000s who just, headlined by Body Jar and Motor Race or something. You know what I mean? Like just
exactly.
Yeah. And then just everyone else fall in behind, like.
Yeah.
What a night. That'd be so much fun. It'd be great. Those were I feel like that was a golden era in Australian music though. Because it was, I think labels were actually signing bands. They were giving bands an opportunity, it wasn't.
Yeah. And radio wasn't scared of guitars.
Yeah. Triple J was, Triple J as we grew up with it,
as we remember it. Yeah.
Yeah. They weren't afraid to play Tism but then play 5 minutes alone straight after it, it was
that's true,
dangerous and a little bit fun.
I mean the market's moved on and changed, and we've grown up, and they've had to adapt to the listenership that is always 19, 20. So they're aiming at that 19, 20, 21-year-olds who next year are going to be 20, 21, 22, 23-year-olds. So their demographic constantly resets, and the rest of us move on.
Yeah.
And, we kind of curate our own playlists to suit us.
the fact that a song featuring Justin Bieber was #1 in the Hottest 100 this year is
Was that the
number
Kid
two.
Laroi
Sorry,
song?
yeah, Kid Laroi and Justin Bieber.
Kid Laroi, yeah, right.
Yeah, and
I
it
mean,
was like
all
that
due
just goes to
respect, that
show,
song pops. I love it.
dude. It bangs 100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a great track.
I got
It's a
no
great
shame
track.
in admitting that song was a banger. We play it loud in the car.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it's the radio edit version, so it's a little weird, but
yep,
kids.
yeah. I had to do because I we're about to in a minute we'll talk about our top records of last year because that's pretty much the whole
Yeah.
purpose we got together. But I love talking music with you. But even for me, like one of my favorite albums of last year was that Olivia Rodrigo album, Sour.
Oh, yeah,
Dude,
right.
this is great. Like it's just
It's good.
solid pop
Yeah.
bangers, man. Like nothing
My
wrong with
only
it.
criticism of it, the only criticism was like it alludes to the idea of guitars. Like they're there, but they're not really there,
And
And I actually heard it on YouTube. Somebody had done a overdub with guitars to make it more Paramore-ish.
rad.
And it slapped, man. It slapped. I was like, damn, that's what it could have been.
I think that's the only reason why it wasn't higher on my list was because there were two like rocking, like the opening track with that, and you're like, oh, dude, this is it's on, it's on. But it's that and the Good For You are the only real rockers on it. If it had one or two more of those slappers, it would just, man, would have skyrocketed up that list.
Yeah, hell yeah. People say though, if you want to hear that stuff more rocky, then you've got Paramore. Go listen to Paramore. Don't make her sound like she's less because she doesn't meet your expectations.
100%.
That's a pretty fair estimate, that one. Yeah.
She's all of 18 and wrote, and it's one of the biggest selling records of last year, and if not the last 5 years. And like, man, she's obviously talented. She obviously wrote what she wanted to write, and there's not a song on it that I don't like. There's songs on it that I maybe don't like as much as the others, but there's not a song on it that I just go, nah, skip. It's pretty solid all the way through, man. And I dig.
So what were your other records, man?
It was the perfect segue, though. I'm not gonna lie. It was. You do it well, sir. All right. So do you want to hear? So I have a list of what are they called? Honorable mentions.
Okay.
Which I'll quickly run through.
Go
so
for
there
it.
was Spectral Wound, A Diabolic Thirst, which was a black metal. It was insane. It was just so brutal. The Bluey album just blew my mind how good that thing was.
Bluey?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the cartoon. Dude,
I get you. Yep.
Yeah, it's insanely well written. Super White by it really is. Super White by Zarface and MF Doom. Very cool hip hop. Laughs by Carly Marcy. King's Disease 2, Nas. Eternal Blue, Spirit Blocks. Contorted Reality. Yeah. Contorted Reality by Minus Life. Aussie metal band. Just and unlucky to miss out. That metal album was one of my favorite metal albums of last year. It was very good. Call Me If You Get Lost, Tyler the Creator. And one that came out of nowhere and I really loved it was Illusory Walls, and it's by a band called The World Is a Beautiful Place and I'm
not afraid to die.
Dude, it's such a great record, man. So
and I slept on that one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah.
So I'll quickly run through. You sorry?
I said I saw that when it came out, and would you believe? Like I had a promo link to stream it, and I was like, no, I don't generally like that band stuff that much. I won't worry about it. So here you are saying it was a really, really good record, and I missed out.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, man. Like again, there was things on it that I probably didn't like as much, and that's probably why it didn't make it. I feel like the 20 that I put on here are 20 records that from start to finish slay. Like there's not a track on it that I would take off.
Yeah.
And it just depends on how much I listen to them, depending on how high they go.
Is it? Are you doing it in order? Like, you know,
I'm gonna
starting at
rip
20?
through. Yeah, I'm gonna rip through 20 and go to one. So,
All
right, you ready?
I'm
So
ready.
number 20 was Another Kill for the Highlight Reel by Save Face. That's this generation's Black Parade. It's incredible. It's so good. It's emo bangers. It's really, really good. 19 was I Won't Care How You Remember Me, my Tiger's Jaw. Great emo band. They just remind me of Copeland, like old Copeland.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, just really, really solid pop songs with an emo feel. It's very cool.
Yeah.
18 was Sour by Olivia Rodrigo, which we've talked about. It's very good.
Yeah.
17, Between the Riches by Fiddlehead.
Oh.
Another really slept on record that is definitely worth your time. It's really it's emo, but it's, I don't know, it's hard to explain. It's just worth listening to. It has these sort of slight elements of like Sparta and Drive In, but it's clean and it's really, really good, man. Definitely worth a listen. 16 was Geller by Baker Boy.
Dude.
Yeah, banger record.
We need him. We need more like him.
Yeah. And I think there's a bunch coming out. I don't know if you've heard, there's another dude called JK47 who rips as well. He's fantastic. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. 15 was Horizons East by Thrice. Those dudes just don't drop, man. They make banger after banger. It's
they don't falter.
No, man, they don't. No. Every record they put out is great. 14 is Meridian by Hippo Tractor, which I got put onto by your good self, and it is.
Yeah, dude.
It's a special record, man. It's real. It's
You know what I think about it is music is good. The music is, some of it is great. Most of it is good, but it's a band that we knew nothing about, had no preamble, no hype. It was just cold face. What do you think of this? And you listen to that first track and go, hold on, what? You know, am I supposed to have known about this band? And you realize, no, they're just hitting it now.
And then you get through track one, which is just insane, balls to the wall, like, you know, Meshuggah Light.
It's like progressive doom.
Yeah. But then you get to track two and the progressive side really comes out, and then it's just like they get these clean parts and these like and they're just as pretty as they are brutal, and it's they
bring atmosphere throughout, whether it's heavy or whether it's softer, the dark and the light, doesn't matter.
One of the only other bands that I know that's managed to do that as well as them is Misery Signals.
Good call.
Their ability to go hard out and then just have these like beautiful, like almost heartbreaking, quiet. You know, it's insane, man. It's very, very, very cool.
That's a good call. Yep.
Yeah. Number 13 was Distant Populations by Quicksand. So
I didn't listen to that record, and
it's a belter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Walter's back, man. He's angry and
Really.
Yeah, dude. If you miss Rival Schools, especially
I miss Rival Schools.
Okay.
Yeah.
Get
United
into
by Fate is on my Desert Island album list.
Yeah.
Just the best.
I'm still waiting for another vinyl repress so I can, because I'm not paying $700 for it. Like I just refuse to. I'll wait. So number 12 is a band that not a lot of people slept on. And I think they're fantastic. The album's called In Transmission, and it's by Capra. So they're a Boston hardcore band, female fronted. Dude, they are so angry, and the riffs are they have that old school hardcore feel. So there's no real like beat downs as it is. Like there's no, it's just pure anger. Like these dudes are just angry. But the first track is like this black metal, like there's this wailing guitars and there's this blast beats, and it's, dude, totally worth your time if you get
Capra.
Capra. Yeah.
All right.
So it's called In Transmission. It's amazing. It's a great record. I really enjoyed it. Number 11 is where the Aussie contingent kicks in, and at Midnight Sun by Introspect.
Yeah, right.
Dude, you again,
Yes.
you turn me onto those guys, and that EP is such a massive step up from Ad Astra, the last EP.
Yeah.
It's balls, man. It's so
Yeah, you
good.
hear it straight away.
Yeah. Yeah, from the first riff, that it's like, yeah, these guys know what they're doing now. They're another band that should be way more popular than they are.
Yeah, and I agree. The music itself merits, I think, more attention. But as a band, clearly they're not flogging themselves to,
they should be playing like Unified and all that. Like that, they fit. They should be supporting Polaris and bands like that. Like they're that good. They should be up there. They should be doing that. And then we hit the top 10, man. Are you ready?
Here we go.
Okay, so number 10. Number 10 is one of the most insane records of this year, which is Cast You Out by Nicolas Cage Fighter.
Yes.
Dude. That was my
off the chain.
Yeah. From start to finish, man, there's no fat.
No, there is not. They are not here to fuck spiders.
No, man.
On the job.
Yeah, man.
They dropped that so early in the year too, right? That was like March or something that come out.
Yeah.
And then you've got the whole
not
year.
let up.
No.
It's relentless.
Badly at all.
No, it was my mowing. I would listen to that while mowing the yard for like months, man. It was like I would go to mow the lawn. I'd be like, all right, what am I going to listen to today? I'd be like, no, I got to put that Nicolas Cage Fighter thing on, man. It's just so brutal.
Yeah.
Okay, number 9 is PM by Jared James. So Jared's a Gold Coast songwriter.
Yeah, I know Jared James. Not know
man.
him, but yeah.
Yeah, so I've known Jared. He's a buddy of mine, and this album, man, he is Australia's like Frank Ocean and D'Angelo. Like it's smooth neo soul.
Yeah.
It's so well written and put together. He's another guy, man, that should be way more famous than he is. He should be.
I know, right? What is up with that? Because he's had some airplay. People know he's a smooth player.
That first single off the last record, that Do You Remember, got some, and he won an ARIA for it.
That's right.
Yeah, but this album should have been way bigger, man. It's so much. Well, it's so well put together, man. Like it's so well written, and I was talking through.
You reckon it's a COVID thing, a COVID casualty?
Possibly, but I think because he was on a major label in the US, and then that major label got taken over by different people, and they dropped a bunch of artists. Okay. So he was sort of left on a really small indie label here in Australia, and yeah, man, they went as hard as they could, man. But I don't know. I think people just sleep on good music. It's like, it just, unfortunately, it's just one of those ones that maybe slipped under the radar for a lot of people, but it should have been a lot more popular than it was. Number 8 is one that everyone will hate me for, but whatever. It's Turbo by Corey Wong and Dirty Loops. So Dirty Loops are a Scandinavian funk band.
I know this guy. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
He's insane.
Dude, that album is ridiculous. It's legitimately ridiculous. As a musician, any musician should listen to that album and just go, oh, I suck at what I do.
I watched, there's a few of his shows that have been filmed, like pro-filmed, and I've watched him several times, just in awe of what he's pulling off.
Yeah, it's nuts, man. Yeah. He's absolutely crazy. Number 7 is Survivor's Guilt by Kenny Hoopla and Travis Barker, which is one of those new punk things. So at the moment, all these R&B and rappers are doing punk. MGK is one of them, and all this kind of stuff. But this Kenny Hoopla one is the only one so far that actually sounds like pop punk that you and I used to listen to. Like, there's
really
dude, it's a banger from start to finish, man. Like, I can't fault it. It's I slept on it forever because it was like
thought of to look at it.
Yeah, it was doing all the rounds on TikTok, and all the people who love MGK were like, "It's cool, it's rad, it's rad." And I was like, "Can't do it, man." As much as I love Travis Barker, he's just been hitting some duds lately, and that thing, man, is dope. It's so good. So definitely worth a listen. 6 is Radical, Every Time I Die. Did you give this thing?
I did not. I let this one go.
Dude, it is massive.
I'm going to have to come back to it now.
Yeah, it's huge. It's absolutely huge, man. Yeah, dude, I can't say. I mean, it's a bummer that they broke up, you know, and it's a bummer that everything's
it's a bummer how they broke up, you know.
Yeah, I think that's more the bummer, is that it's all being aired out so publicly, and you know, it's like, dude, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, I don't want to know. Just don't tell us. Just tell us you broke up and just leave it at that. And
exactly, because it reads like a typical band breakup. It's not actually very interesting. But there's not like there's a great story behind it. It's pretty mundane. It just shouldn't be out in the public domain.
But do you remember when bands, there used to be like an air of mystery around, like, you know, like stuff, and that was sort of half the beauty of listening to rock and roll, was that you sort of, there was all these rumors about why this band broke up or how they did this, and it's like it all goes into the folklore. And I feel like they're one of those bands that have been around for long enough that if they had just said, "Hey, we're breaking up," you know, people would be wildly speculating for years. And it's just the internet sort of, it's that bittersweet thing, man. I love the internet. The internet is amazing, but it's
I hate to stop you there for a sec, but like the only band, and I say this with no shadow of a doubt in my mind, that the only band I know of that is like keeping that mystery alive is Sleep Token. Because who the hell are they?
Yeah.
Like, no one knows, and no one's gonna know because they're taking this seriously. So the mystery is part of the appeal of that whole band, and that used to be a thing that we had, you know, en masse.
Well, I think the other band that do it really well too, to a degree, is Tool, in that you never know when a new Tool record's going to drop. You hear whisperings that maybe they're working on stuff, you know, and then it just never turns up, and then next thing you know, here it is.
Years,
you know,
10 years passes, and suddenly there's an album.
Yeah, and it's incredible. Like, it just blows your mind, and you sit there for the next 10 years trying to figure out,
trying to process
what's going on. Okay, number 5. If I can't have love, I want power. Halsey, which I've never been a Halsey fan. She just never did it.
But are you a Trent Reznor fan?
I'm a huge Trent Reznor fan, and so as soon as I heard that the album was co-written and produced by him and Atticus Ross, I said, "Well, I've got to at least give it a listen." And it stayed on high rotation for weeks. It's special, man. Special record. Now, the next 4, the top 4, are realistically, besides number one, these next 3 could sit all at number 2.
Okay. So it's number 2, part 1.
Yeah. So number 2, part 1 is Ritual and Ceremony by We Set Sail. Yeah. Beautiful record. Yeah.
I'll speak about that in a minute, actually. Yeah, because that's on my list.
Nice. Number 2, part 2 is The Million Masks of God by Manchester Orchestra, who just continue to get better and better and better and better. And I don't know how they do it, but every album they just get better and better. I will be, they're one of those bands that I'll be a lifelong fan. They will, I will just I won't even listen anymore. They'll put something out and I'll just go and buy it because it's just I know there'll be a level of excellence to it.
Yeah.
And number 2, part 3 is The Myth of the Happily Ever After by Biffy Clyro, which is just, dude, it's ridiculous how good that record is.
No, you are well and truly placing that where it belongs. That is, that album is outstanding.
That was another one that I slept on. I didn't get into it until later on of last year, purely because you told me how good it was, and I just because Ellipsis kind of turned me off a little bit, and I don't know whether it was just a mood thing. Like I was just like, I think I just done Biffy Clyro, and I just needed time out, and so I heard Ellipsis and just went, I just don't think I care at the moment. So I'm going to go back and listen to those, because there was like one or two, there was Ellipsis, and I think there was one other record before Myth of the Happily Ever After. So I'm going to go back and give them another shot, because Myth of the Happily Ever After is so damn good. I love it. I mean, Biffy Clyro from the drop have been insane at writing the most catchy pop hook melodies under some of the most interesting rock music I've ever heard. Yeah, it sounds so accessible, but as a musician, you listen to it and go, "Oh,
you're
they're
like,
not."
What are they on?
Yeah, like that. Yeah. Even that last track, "Sleepy, Sleepy, Sleep, Sleep." Who? What normal rock band puts a 5/4 song and just makes it so damn huge? It's ridiculous, man. Like it's just.
I'm not actually a Biffy Clyro fan. I've never listened to a single one of their records until that one. The other guys in Antiskeptic, Andrew and Nick, they love it, and they've been frothing over them for years. And I've always just been like, nah, I don't think they're my kind of thing. The singles are fine; they're all good songs, But this record was one that I don't know. I think I organically just sort of came across it and followed the singles, and then the album stream. I thought, oh yeah, I want to hear the rest of that. And by the end of the record, I was like, mind blown. It's awesome.
In the grand scheme of Biffy Clyro, it's definitely one of their better records. It's by far one of their strongest records. It's so damn good. It's so well written. Everything about it.
I really enjoyed the sounds that they use. The tones of the guitars, the big fat bass and the synths when they come in. There's lots of panning tricks with the synths, and drums are phenomenal. Yeah, this is a lot to enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, highly, if you're listening and watching and you haven't listened to that record, just stop sleeping on that band. They're amazing.
Yeah.
Number 1, and I think is one that you and I'll probably share in this spot. I could be wrong, but it has to be Glow On by Turnstile.
Dude,
that it's just everything we just said about Biffy Clyro is exactly what I'll say about this, but it's just on another level.
I would agree and say the same. I've never listened to a Turnstile record before.
Yeah.
And still yet to listen to any of their other material.
Yeah.
I heard that 3-track concept EP video, small short film, whatever you want to call that. The Turnstile Love Connection.
TLC, yeah. Yep.
And I think, man, I watched that about 6 times, over, going, where has this band been? We need this right now. This is important.
Yeah.
Like when you watch The Refused for the first time and you watch New Noise, that moment where you're like, I remember where I was when that came on the TV. And I remember not knowing what the fuck was going on, but it was important.
Yeah.
And at the drive-in, first time I heard One Arm Scissor, and it smacked me in the head. And I was like, what is this? I don't know what it is. I was having that moment as a 42-year-old man in bed watching this video going, what is this bloody band? What do I not know about this band?
So you summed it up perfectly. It's exactly it. It just reminded me of all that. The first time I heard, One Arm Scissor, saw the film clip on Rage at 1 a.m. on a Saturday morning, and just went, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, you know,
It shakes you and you go, oh, something new right now.
I remember buying Shape of Punk to Come just I just went, oh, it's on Epitaph or whatever it was. I'm just going to buy it and just listen to it. I remember sitting on a bus home from Brisbane City and just had that on my Walkman and just going, I just couldn't take it in. It was just so much.
There is a lot to take in those first 5, 6 tracks. I mean,
dude,
sit on that for a year and still process it.
I'm still trying to, and this album is it was 98 it came out. So it's 26 years old, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still trying to process the intro for Deadly Rhythm.
Oh, yeah.
Da 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 da. But then when it goes a da 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 da, and I don't know how he kicks from that into the I don't know. And Turnstile did similarly to me. I just Mystery starts and I just go, oh, this sounds like the Smashing Pumpkins. And then Blackout starts and I just go,
oh, Blackout is a jam.
The one for me was the first time I heard Holiday. I just went, this sounds like Beastie Boys. And I just went, I'm in love.
Yeah, I heard that too. Straight away, I was like, oh, wow. 80s New York hardcore. Here it is.
Yeah.
And his moves is so whack and it's so great.
Yeah.
You know, there's so much about it that's not countercultural, but it's not cool, which is what makes it cool. It's not
He moves in a way that, it's not, not all the hardcore frontmen, they're normally doing what they do. And this dude, it's almost like he half breakdances, kind of like this Michael Jackson moves, and it's crazy, man.
And like that record has, the fast, frenetic, energetic, angry, pissed off stuff, and it's got the anthemic, jump up and down stuff like Holiday, catchy. And then there's that song Alien Love Call.
Oh, dude, right? Beautiful. Yeah.
That is some of the saddest, most like haunting music. And it fits, which is what's weird about it. It fits in the context of that record. When you're listening, it's got these peaks and valleys. And
then you've got that total indie banger in Underwater Boy, which is just like an indie, like could be on a Cure record. Like it's just it's so good. So
that band loves flanger, don't they?
Oh, big time.
They love flanger, or is it might be a phaser, I don't know. It's some modulation, and I hear it and I go, yeah, you're not even hiding it.
No. There's also a little bit of chorus in there too. They love a little chorus, and man. No, it's a special record, man, and one that I still spin, now. It's insane how good it is. So
I still come back to it quite a bit. It's probably the most listened to record for me of that last year that I didn't write myself.
Nice. All right, so I've waffled for too long. So now I need you to give me your top, however many you've decided to bring to the table.
All right. Well, full disclosure. Every year, I would do a top 10, albums of the year for my Indie Australia. But when it got to November, December last year, I didn't have the time or the headspace to really put it together, write it in a way that I wanted to, tag all the bands and tell people. I was just letting it lie, and I sort of didn't really have it in me. I just needed to let some things sit. So what I've got is my Indie Australia's top records 2021, as according to me.
Nice.
Now, one thing we do share is my number one spot goes to We Set Sail. Ritual and Ceremony was a beautiful, beautiful record. And the reason it was my favorite Australian release last year was partly from all the nostalgic beats that it hits. It's not just the movie quotes, which are interwoven throughout every song. The transition from every track is bridged by these cool little snippets and samples of media, films and speeches and bits and pieces. It's fun to try and figure out where they're from. But there's a sense that this is it's borrowing from some timeless stuff. And the songs themselves blend in and out of indie and emo and post-hardcore, and just straight up emotionally driven music. Kind of like early Something for Kate would do the same thing when it was angsty, emotional, raw, and passionate and sort of unfocused, just straight out there. Whereas when I Set Sail, it's focused and intentional. I just loved it. And number 2 is a band from Sydney who I love unashamedly. I'm totally biased because I think they're brilliant. A band called Seims, Seims.
Yes. Yeah.
Prog as hell, like straight up. They are so out there. But what's great about it is that they're not confined to the idea of prog rock or prog jazz or prog metal. They're literally all of that, but they don't lean one way or the other. It's just music for musicians, and not complicated, not like virtuoistic dream theater stuff. It's clever and it's artistic. This record, anyway, I've been a fan of them, and I love Simeon. Dude's an absolute legend. This record blew me away. It's like orchestral and cinematic. It has that feeling like this is a score from a film I've never seen.
Yeah.
Or, that it's just that huge.
I saw you talk about it on, it might have been Children of the Course or one of those Facebook pages that we frequent. And I remember going in and going, okay, I'm going to check these guys out. And I remember putting it on and having to stop it because I went, I need to be in a headspace where I can actually just absorb this because there's a lot going on and it sounds insanely good. But it just, I needed to be able to give it proper attention rather than just putting it on. So,
and it's not just a guitar, bass, drums band. I mean, there is absolutely a guitar, bass, and a drum player. They're in there. There's also a saxophone, strings, and there's also horns and synths. It's really evolved in a way. Yeah. So I think that it'll be, in time to come, people will find this band and they'll be like, what? This band back in the 2020s was peaking and we weren't even born yet. It'll be that kind of classic hit.
It'll be one of those things that turns up in a movie soundtrack. Someone will discover it and put it in a movie in like 30 years time, and everyone will just go, what the hell is this?
I only hope someone gets that idea sooner than later.
100%.
All right, next band from your neck of the woods, Stepson, Help Me Help You. That record, man. I had no pre-knowledge of this band. I knew of them, but didn't listen to them. And I got serviced that one from the label, PR guys, and I listened to it with, really kind of unbiased opinion, and was like, wow, this is a really cool melodic hardcore. I like it. And then the next track comes on, I'm like, I think I checked my phone because I put it on my phone. I was like, is this the same band, or if I hit skip? Is this random? When you accidentally press the shuffle button?
Yeah.
That's what I thought, because it was like a straight up like pop rock kind of track. And no, it's still the same band. I'm like, oh, that's curious. And it's those sort of the moments that keep you guessing, where you're like, I didn't expect this next track to be so different. And that was what it was like, a roller coaster of, oh, this is the emo song. This is the pop. This is the punk song. This is the short, fast, melodic, hardcore song. This is, but not knowing that they were coming meant it was just really surprising and pulled the wool over my eyes for a little bit. Like, oh, I didn't know that. This is what we were doing. Cool. So yeah, every time, give it a spin. It's fun. It's serious. It's not a happy record, but it is really, really fun.
Yeah, cool.
All right, my number 4 is 12-Foot Ninja, Vengeance. It's arguably not their strongest record, but in the landscape of last year's releases, it was stronger than most everything else that I was listening to. I've been waiting a long time for that record. Outlier was the one before it. It was fantastic.
I was going to say I really enjoyed Outlier more than I enjoyed Vengeance. I thought Vengeance was good, but Outlier was so strong. It was such a good record.
It was so strong. This one leaned a little too much into the electronica, but as an evolution for the band, I can see why they went that way, and I could enjoy it and appreciate it. It had all the typical bullshit, crazy moments, which you just love. You love to not know they're coming, and when they hit, you just laugh. You just go, of course, this is 12-Foot Ninja.
Yeah.
And anyone else, you would think, what is wrong with these people? But because it's them, it's part of the deal.
Yeah.
All right, next one's only an EP, but why this isn't massive baffles me. In all honesty, it's a band from Adelaide called Wolf and Chain. Their EP is their second EP. It's called Amor Mortal, and it's like, this band should be enormous.
Wow.
There are enough people in the world who love My Chemical Romance and Panic at the Disco and Fall Out Boy and Envy at the Coast and Receiving End of Sleep Sirens, all of those bands. There are enough of us who should be frothing this band. So if I can play any part in bringing a new listener to their audience, I'll be happy. Wolf and Chain.
Wolf and Chain. All right.
Wolf and Chain.
That's another one I'll give a spin.
I kid you not. If you like any of those bands, the classic emo bands, right? The Panic, Romance, Fall Out Boy stuff.
Yeah.
That's what these guys do, and they do it perfectly.
Awesome.
In fact, they do it modern, which is even better. It's not just plagiarism; it's straight up a tribute, modernized. Yeah. It's only like a short EP, 4 songs, 5 tracks. It's over before you know it, and it leaves you just gasping for more. And their first EP did the same thing, and I wrote in my review, if they write another, if they do nothing else, please just write 4 more songs like this. And they did. And it is everything I wanted. I'm like, I can't be the only person who thinks this is just so bloody good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'll give it a spin. I like it.
Good. Another band, Worse for Wear. They had a really good record called Sure to Leave a Mark. And the first taste of that was this single they released, and it actually turns out to be the last song on the record. And it was just one of those really good sad songs, like sad rock songs.
Yeah.
I thought, this is awesome. I love a good sad rock song.
Mm-hmm.
And so the album came out and I got serviced it. And it actually just was really, really good. Every time I put it on, I check the screen and go, who's this again? And find myself constantly being interested, surprised by this record. It's really, really good. And one that I wouldn't expect anybody to know about. Again, they're from Brisbane, this man, called Salt Money. Salt Money. And the EP was called First Breath. It's their second EP. I loved their first one. and it was a little while between drinks, and then they dropped this one, Salt. So all I can say is it's straight up screamo, and not the emo screamo crap that you think of. Like, we're talking proper scrams, power violence, like straight up get injured kind of music. It's over in 10 minutes. It's like four or five maybe songs, reminiscent of like early Pianos Become the Teeth. If they didn't fun around with like pretty guitars, if you solely concentrated on the intensity of it and just went, right, let's just make an album and make it go for 10 minutes. How do we fit everything we've written into 10 minutes? That's what this band did.
Hell yeah.
And it's an assault on the ears, man. And I love it. I love it.
Nice.
You know, this music is so fierce. It's scathing. If they'd just done blast beats, it'd be straight up black metal. Yeah. There's no discerning between the two. It's really the drummer that does a lot of that work, you know, makes the stops and starts happen and makes the mode move. So yeah, I really enjoyed that record.
I find drummers in those kind of bands, if they can incorporate a bit of groove, it goes a long way with me. Because I mean, I love a blast beat, but I mean, I was listening to Pig Destroyer the other day, and
right,
and I was just I remember the first time I heard them, because they just do like, then all of a sudden they'll pull up these like almost these just groovy riffs, and I just go, oh man, that just gives me that small respite to just give it some of this, and then it's back into the
and then back into it.
Yeah. Back into the
That's
anger.
what I like about Deaf Heaven or Deaf Haven. Same thing. They will crush you with some black metal for a while, and then they'll pull it back and get pretty. Yeah. Really nice. Give you a bit of a break, and then by the time they're building up to it, you know what's coming, and you're like, I'm ready.
Yeah, you know what's coming, and you're okay. Your body is ready to go.
I've been soothed, and now I'm ready for more. Yeah, man, couldn't agree more about Glow On. This Turnstiles record was that was my favorite record of the year. I mean, nothing's come close to it.
No, it was special, man. It was one of those moments, and we've already said it, but it's worth saying again. It's just one of those musical moments where it was, you know, you're hearing something so familiar for the first time again. Like that's the sort of thing, you know, like every song is just different. Like there's not, you know what I mean? Like it just,
there was
hardcore bangers, but even the hardcore bangers, like, were so different from the other ones. Like
they were,
you know, Blackout and TLC, and you know, they could all sort of exist in the same thing, but there's so much difference. They're so different.
Yeah, each one does something quite different. I mean,
yeah,
TLC, that song, the way that ends, you know, you can't imagine that is how it's going to end from listening to the start of it. Killer. Have you seen the launch video that they did? Yeah, the launch party, the Hate 5-6 video he did there, and they're all on stage, and all the kids come up, and all the crowd come up, and they're singing it along, and
it's special, man.
Yeah,
they're a special band, and it excites me to sort of see what they do next and where they take it. And yeah, I haven't sort of, it's been a while since I've been hit by a brand new record from a band I've never heard of before like that, you know. I mean, I'm trying to think, maybe the first time I heard Me Without You might have been a moment like that, where I just went, I've never heard anything like this in my life.
I remember the first time I heard Me Without You was it was their first record, you know, now the brown one. I can't remember what it was called.
A to Be Life.
And it was something about I think I Saw You in My Sleep. It was just this beautiful song, but it was kind of creepy too. I was like, this feels really, really different and vulnerable and raw. that was what really shook me.
Yeah, so my introduction to that band was Catch for Us the Foxes.
Ah,
And when I discovered that album, I was going through a marriage breakup and also going through somewhat of a crisis of faith. And just the way that he talks about what he believes and what he, and it's, oh man, it just spoke to me on this. It was just like it was a mitzvah, like it was just, I was meant to discover that album
yeah,
at that time in my life.
at
And
that time.
yeah, and it meant the world to me, man. It was, yeah, I still to this day spin it. I love it. Yeah, it's really, really, that band actually, I can't, even that folk album they did, I love it. I don't care. I'm a
Yeah,
fan.
I didn't follow them after the first record I heard of them because it challenged me so much. And I like music, but I don't know, I wasn't ready for the challenge of it. And so I never
I,
really visited it back. But then, the La Dispute came along, really, really similar time frame.
mm,
And they're throwing this spoken word shit around with noodly, twinkly emo music. And I'm like, okay, this is a thing.
mm,
Okay. It's not just that band. This is an idea. And ideas are
yeah,
contagious. So yeah, then I saw the whole mood picking up.
yeah. They're another band that just should have been. I mean, they're not a band that's going to be, like sell 10 million records and stuff, but
No.
even fans of, like I'm trying to think of bands like Defeater and things like that. They should have, those fans should have gravitated towards Me Without You. They should have been a lot bigger than they were. And it's just a bummer, man, because they're done now. And my old band, Alabrini, we actually played with them here in Brisbane.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Wow.
and dude, it was insane, man. It was so like, so we met them before the show, and they are a bit strange, like they're
Yeah.
strange dudes. But when we played, we were the second band on, and most bands, if you tour with international bands or whatever, most bands, if they're on next, they're in their green room doing their thing and
That's it. They're
drinking
getting
and
ready.
yep. They stood at the merch table and watched our entire set. They watched the first band play, like,
Yes.
and then walked through the crowd and set up. And while we were packing down, they were talking to us and like, "Oh man, we really enjoyed your stuff." And it was just like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you actually sat there and watched us play." Like
Yeah.
yeah, I that was so mind blowing to me. That was just, they were just so nice and so
That's
unassuming.
rad.
And yeah, it's nice when you
That's
meet
super rad.
heroes. It's nice when you meet heroes and they actually are decent dudes. Because
Yeah.
I've met
Yeah.
plenty of other dudes in big bands, and they're not terrible people, but you just like, oh, you don't care. You just don't care,
Mm.
and that's fine. That's that's who you are.
Now I got to admit, like every now and then I like to pull out my little brag list, and
Mm.
usually it's when it's usually on the internet when someone's going, "Oh, what do you know, mate? Who are you?" And I'm like, whilst I flex,
Yeah.
but I feel really blessed, really privileged, and I mean it, blessed in that way that it's undeserving that I should get to have played and met so many of my favorite bands. And not just being the one band, getting to spend time with them, talk shit, talk shop, talk home.
Yeah.
Getting to do that with some of my favorite bands. It's so cool how the music industry, as big as the world is, our industry is really small, and it's really only kind of separated by degrees of perception that whoever they are on stage to you exists only because you think it does. Otherwise, they're just another dude who got in his car that day, drove to the show, did his gig, called his girlfriend or talked to his kids good night before he got on stage. He had a curry for dinner. You had a curry for dinner. Like, there's so much about it that is actually created up here.
Yeah.
And so when you meet these big bands, they're only a big band because we're making a big deal about them. Otherwise, they're just people like us. Oh, man. But still, with that knowledge, I still feel totally blessed to be able to say, I've met so many of these cool people.
Yeah. It's wild, man. I kind of look back on it and, I'm the same, man. I have a little brag list and I go, you know what? We got to play with Unwritten Law. Like, that Black album, like I bought about 4 copies of that because I just kept wearing it out,
Yeah.
I got to play with rival schools. Like, I know you guys did as well.
No, we didn't get to play with rival schools.
I thought you guys toured with rival schools when they did the United by Fate thing.
No, that was Think Tank, I think, right?
Was it? I thought it was.
It was Think Tank or Blue Line Medic. Someone did that. It wasn't.
Okay. I know you guys got to do one that is the Chased one, which is, I know you guys got to play with Jimmy Eat World. Yeah, that's the dream.
Twice.
Yeah, that's silliness.
It was wicked because, like, the story of how we got to play that first show at the Punters Club, which is now closed. Subsequently, is also a really great pizza shop now, but preferred it as a venue.
Yes.
Nick knew this band already. He was already a big Jimmy World fan, and so when they were coming out, he knew, and he was checking out the listings to see who was supporting. And it was on the same weekend as this music festival that we used to run down here called Forest Edge.
Oh yeah, I know Forest Edge.
Music, Forest Edge Music Festival. So we were on that weekend doing those shows, and we were just gonna piss off and drive into Richmond to the city to go to the show. We were just gonna go, but he called up and he's like, "Who's playing this? Who's the local supports?" And they're like, "Oh, we haven't really put anyone on yet." And Nick literally just was like, "We'll play," and got our booking agent at the time to draw it up. And they were like, that's how it happened. He called up and said, "We'll play," because they didn't have a local. The details of how that all happened is just uncanny. They don't happen. That's not how things are done anymore. But we were lucky. He was onto it, man. He just like, "Yeah, we'll play the show. We'll be there. We'll get her agent to call up," and hooked it up, and that was it. Bam, we're there.
Yeah, it does not happen like that anymore, does it?
No, it doesn't happen like that anymore. And it was with Blue Line Medic, so I was more excited about watching Blue Line Medic. I wasn't yet a massive World fan, so I was enjoying it, but it wasn't because
it was on the
experience.
It was on the it was on the had Bleed American just come out when
hadn't yet. No, hadn't yet. The Bleed American, the Salt Sweat song was on the radio, and they played that, but most of it was Clarity that they were playing.
Yeah. Yeah, which is a insane album from start to finish.
Yeah.
Totally. I've seen them a number of times, man, and they're another band that they're just so good live. They're no bullshit, no frills. You don't get a big light show. You just get a good rock and roll band, play good rock and roll songs for an hour and a half, and
Have you seen the Phoenix sessions that they put up on YouTube for free?
No, I haven't watched them yet.
They used to be a pay-per-view or limited streaming thing, and then after a while they just put them up for everybody to enjoy.
Nice.
And I watched the Futures album show, and they just kill it. And I love that band for the fact that they leave their mistakes in. They don't edit them out. They don't, as far as I can tell, they don't overdub. It's just that's it. That's the two guitars. So if one note's bent too far or it's, half a tone out, you can hear it and they leave it there.
Yeah.
If Zach misses a bit, you can tell because they didn't cut it out.
Yeah.
It's great.
I saw them on they came out, it was a few years ago, and they did Futures from front to back. It was like the 20th anniversary or something.
Oh,
and I just remember sitting through all those. So when I remember me and the singer of my old band, we were huge into Bleed American, and we actually found out that there was a song from Futures that was going to be on this Xbox game. And so we actually went and bought the Xbox game just so we could hear the single from, because it wasn't on radio. It wasn't, there was,
right.
There was no MySpace or Facebook or YouTube. It was just, you just had to find it. And so, we had this one song, and I remember we would just skip levels until we hit the level where we were listening to that song. So
unreal.
That was awesome, man. I love
That's commitments.
Yeah, man.
I love it.
Dude, before we finish up, dude, of course. I do this with everyone. I've got a couple of I call it rapid fire, but it's not really. Just say what you will. All right. So
all right.
The first question I've got is, unfortunately, your house is on fire and you can only grab an arm full of records. What are some of the records you're going to grab?
Records?
Yeah.
Sorry. This has to be after I've grabbed my guitars.
Of course. Oh, yeah. Yeah, nice.
Yeah. I've grabbed those, and they're the nice ones. They're the ones that live inside. After I've grabbed them, and this is assuming my pedal board has been brought out too.
And the family, of course.
Oh, yeah, them too. They'll be carrying some of the guitars. Yeah.
Yeah, inbuilt road crew.
Okay. Oh, you can't see that very well. There you go.
Nice.
All right, quality. Tool, Undertow.
Very good.
I think I was ready for this, and I wasn't.
Oh, dude. That's a grail for me.
Dude, this record. Yeah. So good. I got this for $20 from a record store that was closing down.
Dude, I was on Instagram the other day, and they posted a video from a show that they did, and they opened with "For the Workforce Drowning," and it just made me go, I need to go back now, because it's been too long, and I needed to go back and rediscover Thursday again. Oh, yeah, beautiful. Yeah,
this is a good one to get because it comes with the CD and the DVD.
Yeah, the doco.
Yeah,
which is amazing. It's incredible.
Oh yeah. You know what? I keep all my favorite ones at the front of my inside box. Here's one you wouldn't expect.
Hey,
Duke Ellington and John Coltrane.
Very nice.
So
very nice.
I'm a jazz head. I love jazz.
Yeah.
Not all jazz, because I'm still a snob, but yeah, I love the Duke, man. He's a smooth player. It moves me.
A few years ago, I did an experiment where I tried to listen to a record I never heard before every day, and I got up to 320 or something like that.
Wow.
I got really close. And one of the things is I'd never really done a lot of jazz, and so a good mate of mine who I used to work with, he gave me a couple to listen to, and there was a Coltrane record, which was a really big band based record. I can't remember the name of it, but it was so insane. Blew my mind.
He's a legend.
Is that the Alien soundtrack?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Dude, this is my favorite film ever.
Right.
All the time. But the soundtrack because I love the film so much, and I love the lore and the world, and I've got the books and comics and stuff. I know in my mind where in the film each piece of this music fits.
Yep.
So when I listen to it, my association with the film is triggered straight away. So it's like having the movie playing through in my head.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll even like say the dialogue over the top of it. I'm that much of a nerd.
I love it. All right. First album you bought. That's all right. First album you bought with your own money.
Pearl Jam Versus.
Lovely. Nice.
Still have it too.
Nice. First song that you heard that made you want to play music.
Come As You Are by Nirvana.
Nice. Yep.
You know, I'd already heard the song before. It was the unplugged version.
Yeah.
When I was listening to Unplugged and I heard it, and I looked at my dad's guitar and thought, I'm like trying to learn that. I want to learn that riff. And it was all downhill from there.
I think that album was a real gateway album for a lot of people into playing music, because it was simple enough that beginner guitarists could play the majority of it, but it was so well put together that it actually gave you a sense of music as well. So
Macca, you nailed it, mate. It was so accessible and beginner friendly because they had to bring their music down to a certain level.
Yeah. No, it was good, man. Very good. Best live band you've ever seen?
What are you? All right. The Haunted.
Yep.
I can't remember which year it was. I mean, it's got to be like 2002, 2003, I think it was, maybe. They came out on the Revolver tour. Chuck Billy was singing again. The original vocalist left and came back, much like some of the best bands out there have. And yeah, so I got to see the original lineup, and they played, and they was so freaking loud, dude.
Yeah,
like it hurt, and I was there for it, and they were so tight. Like it was so tight. You'd think this is the CD, except you knew it wasn't. And they played all the best songs. They didn't play any of the skippables. It was just fire from start to finish.
Yep.
And I've seen a lot of shows, man, but that one is always there when I think about what's the benchmark for best I ever went to. It was at the Corner Hotel, which has typically got crap sound. Great venue, really hit and miss audio, but this one was just, I couldn't hear for days after that.
That's what you want, man. If you go to a show like that, you want to walk out and not be able to hear for days. That's good.
Yeah, I had bruises too. It's awesome.
That's how you know you've enjoyed it. It's like, you know, when you eat a good meal and you have food all over your face. If you don't have food everywhere, you haven't properly eaten that meal.
That's right.
You know,
if you're not like going, hang on.
Yeah. It's
some here.
Yeah. Got bits for later on in here, then you haven't done it properly.
Exactly.
You haven't done it properly. And then the final question, man, is, you know, where can we find your shit? Which is, I'm guessing, so we've got myindyaustralia.wordpress.com is the website.
Yeah.
Which
it's on WordPress, which is cool.
Which is totally worth checking out because it's well-written reviews. And like we said at the very start of this, it's all positive. It's, you know, there's no negative vibes. It's all positive vibes. And
that's because I listen to a lot of submissions and a lot of PR and media releases, right? And most of it I don't like. So that's why I might only post one record a month, because it's that one record out of the 10 or the one band out of the 10 that I actually went, damn, I love this. This is great. I actually want to tell other people about this. So
and I like
I'll let
that
all
too,
the other outlets, you know, they can handle all the news.
Yeah. I like that in a world where it's a very negative driven news cycle most. And
it is, isn't it?
It's good that there's outlets that are just like, no, fuck that. We'll put the stuff out that's worth talking about. You know, not that it's worth talking about, but the stuff that we enjoy. We're not going to We're not going to contribute to the negative cycle. And I think that's really important, man. And then obviously Dark Antiskeptic you can find on Facebook, I believe.
Yeah, we're on Facebook. All the music on Bandcamp. So Bandcamp, Dark Antiskeptic. And I think it's worth distinguishing between the two, that it is not an Antiskeptic side project.
Mm-hmm.
Nick and Andrew have nothing to do with it. It's entirely my idea, my bad idea.
No, it's a great idea. And then obviously Antiskeptic, who there's a new record coming out. We hope this year at some point.
Oh my gosh!
Maybe
please let it happen.
Yeah. All their stuff is on.
It's all on Spotify.
It's all on Spotify and Apple.
Yeah, it's all on everywhere. Of course, it's been out for 20 years now. Celebrating memoirs. That vinyl comes out soon. It's on its way.
Yeah. No, man, definitely one of the most important Australian bands, I feel like, especially in rock music. There you go. I said it.
No. See, one time I read in a press release that said alt rock royalty. And I went, there it is. It's in black and white. The Corner Hotel said so. We are now.
I've said this to Andrew a number of times, and I think I've said it to you and Nick, and your band changed the way I looked at, like, up until that point I only listened to pop punk and punk, and when I heard Memoirs for the first time, it just completely, I just went, oh man, like this music can be so much more than 4-chord palm mute. There's just so much you can do with it, and it just opened my eyes to so much stuff. So I owe you guys a debt of gratitude, and I'm so glad that we've been able to, over the years, become mates and hang out and just, and write and, hang out and talk shit about music. And
dude, now we're going to have a record together.
Dude. I've heard rumors that there will be a second guitarist if this record comes out on tour. So
we've had some tough conversations about that, actually, because the previous iteration of Antiskeptic during the previous past stuff where they did use a second guitarist, and it meant that Andrew could kind of get away with being more of a frontman and a vocalist, let the heavy lifting go to another player. And on the record, there's guitar parts going left and right all over the place. This is on the Stare Down the Ocean record. Do you think they can play any of that music now that there's only 3 of us?
Yeah.
Basically, no.
Yeah.
So they bricked themselves into a bit of a corner there. So we have the same issue now where we've got the freedom to write all this music and record all these overdubs and parts and different sonic sounds that live we have no chance of reproducing them.
Oh man.
So we either need to have guests join us, or we have to reframe what is important to that song and what's reproducible, like live, without backing tracks, if we do it.
Well, if anyone can do it, you guys can, because you guys are all amazing at what you do. So no, man, I really appreciate you coming on and being part of episode 1. And we've sort of set this up so Sean will pop in and out on random episodes, and man, we'll talk more shit, and it'll be great, man. It'll be really great. So
thanks for having me, mate.
Dude, it's a pleasure, man. Thanks for being on. Thanks for I know you're sick as well, man. So hopefully you and the family
we both got the COVID, whatever. I'm just I'm a week ahead of you. I'm feeling a lot better.
We'll get through, bro. We'll get through.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
can't taste anything, but I'll be okay.
Man. All right, bro. Thanks heaps, man.
Peace.
See ya.